Hi everyone, in this video we are going to learn about electric flux and Gauss law. So first let's see what's electric flux. Electric flux is kind of a measure of how many or the number of electric field lines passing through a given surface. So basically flux is denoted by a symbol phi. So let's say there is a surface and area of the surface is A, and this surface is placed in a region of uniform electric field which is perpendicular to this surface, and the magnitude of electric field is E. So the flux in this case is simply E into A. So in a more generic case, let's say electric flux. So let's say this sheet is in a space where the electric field lines are not at angle 90 degree but at some angle theta with the perpendicular. So we define something called area vector denoted by A bar, and area vector is a vector whose magnitude is equal to area of the surface and whose direction is equal to perpendicular to the surface. So in this second example here, the area vector is this vector and whose magnitude is A, which is the area of this sheet, and E vector is electric field vector. So basically electric field intensity vector, and electric field intensity is defined as force experienced by 1 coulomb charge placed at a particular point. So a uniform electric field intensity means at every point in the space the force experienced by 1 coulomb charge is same. So we denote a uniform electric field by electric field lines which are parallel and equidistant. So this is, let's denote the electric field intensity vector by E dash. So we can make two components of E dash. So E dash sine theta is parallel to the sheet A. So it's not actually passing through sheet A, while E dash cos theta is perpendicular to sheet A. So it is the E cos theta and E sin theta. So the perpendicular component is actually which is passing through the sheet. The parallel component is not passing through the sheet. So we can say that the flux is area into. So the flux can be denoted by area times perpendicular component, which is E cos theta. And if you have studied vectors, then we can write this flux as A vector dot product E vector. So you can clearly see that flux can be positive and negative. Since flux is equal to A E cos theta, where cos theta is the angle between A vector and E vector. So if this angle is, so we know that cos is positive in the first quadrant and negative in the second quadrant. So if this angle is 0 less than theta is less than 90 degrees, then flux is, since cos theta is positive, flux is positive. If angle is theta is equal to 90 degrees, which means that the angle between A vector if this is A vector to this surface and the E vector is 90 degrees. So E vector is this. 90 degrees means the field lines are parallel to the surface. In that case, if field lines are parallel to the surface, flux to that surface is 0. And if theta is greater than 90 and less than 180, in that case cos theta is negative, therefore flux is negative. So for example, let's say there is a closed surface like this. We don't have a sheet, but we have some closed surface like this, and electric fields are passing through this region in a horizontal direction. So we can see area vector at any point is basically a vector normal to that surface at any point. So here a vector normal to the surface would be like this. So here the area vector, which is dA vector because it's a very small area we are considering, is at an acute angle with the electric field vector or the electric field lines. So here the flux to this part of the surface is positive. On the other hand, if we look here, if we draw a normal at this point, let's say, so if we draw a normal at this point, it would be something like this. So area vector would be in this direction, while electric field lines are towards the right, which means the electric field intensity vector towards the right. Therefore the angle between area vector and electric field vector is greater than 90 degrees. Hence flux at this point of surface is negative. So net flux through this surface is sum of the flux through every surface, so every point on the surface. So we can say that at any given area dA, the flux is E dot dA, and we have to sum this flux for all small dAs on this surface. So the net flux is basically integral of E dot dA. And for example, at this point, the electric field vector is towards the right and area vector is basically perpendicular to the surface, which is here. So at this point, the flux through this small area here, through this small area, flux is 0. So here through this area, flux is positive. Through this area at this point, flux is negative, and at this point on surface, flux is 0. So we have to do this for every point on the surface. We have to calculate flux for every point on this surface, on the outer surface, and then we have to add the flux on every point of the outer surface, and that would give us net flux through a closed surface. So we can see that when the points where electric field is leaving the closed surface, for example this point, the flux is positive, but the points where electric field is entering the closed surface, such as this point here, the flux is negative. So calculating this flux for every point and then adding it up, basically taking the integral, can be a very tiresome process, and we can calculate this in an easy way using something called Gauss law. So what Gauss law states, that the flux through a closed surface, so keep in mind that Gauss law can only be applied to calculate flux through a closed surface, otherwise it can't be applied. So it's a very important point to note down. So the flux through a closed surface is proportional to the charge enclosed by the, is proportional to net charge enclosed by the closed surface. So basically integral of E dot dA, which we were calculating in the previous step, is given by net charge enclosed, which is Q enclosed, by epsilon naught. So this is Gauss law. So let's see the previous example. In the previous example we saw that there was a closed surface but there was no charge inside it. So inside this area, inside the closed surface, there was no charge enclosed. So Q enclosed is 0, then it means that the flux should be 0. So due to any electric field, if it is kept in any electric field, like in the previous example, let's say the electric field is towards right and it's uniform. So flux through this, net flux through this closed surface due to this electric field would be 0. And you can get the intuition that towards the right surface, flux through this surface towards the right, the area vector would be making an acute angle. So flux through the right surface would be positive, while flux through the left surface, due to these electric field lines, flux through these surface, since this is area vector and this is electric field vector, the angle would be obtuse and hence flux would be negative. So the net resultant would be 0 as per the Gauss law, because charge enclosed by this closed surface is 0. So the Gauss law can be used to derive the formula for the electric field intensity for different types of charged objects. For example, let's consider a charged sheet. So there is an infinite sized charge sheet. So the length of the sheet, the breadth of the sheet are infinite, though I can't. So assume that the length goes to infinity, the breadth goes to infinity in both the directions. So we have an infinite charge sheet, and the charge on this sheet has charge density of sigma. What do we mean by charge density? So charge density means charge, the amount of charge per unit area of this sheet. So basically in every unit area, a unit can be anything. It can be meter square, it can be centimeter square, depending on, like, units would be provided to you. But the thing is that per unit area, let's say per meter square, how much charge is available? Let's say this sheet is filled with positive charges. So if we take unit area, let's say 1 meter square area of this sheet, then how much charge it will contain? That is the value sigma. So it will contain sigma charge. So now we are given charge density sigma. We want to find that since these charges will produce electric field lines or the electric field. So remember, electric field is produced by charges, and electric field exerts force on other charges. So electric field produced by one charge exerts force on some other charge. So we have to find electric field produced by this charge sheet at any given point, which is at, let's say, height of, let's say some point which is at height of h from this sheet, and we have to find electric field at this point. So to find the electric field at this point, we can use the trick of Gauss law. So we can construct an imaginary closed surface around this sheet like this. So we create a square such that this point here is center of that square, and we take the square of length 2h such that the height h is above the sheet and height h is below the sheet. And we can create this closed surface, something which looks like a rectangular closed surface like this, and we have to find the electric field at this point A. Now you can only find the value of electric field at any given point if you know the direction of electric field by the charge sheet. So assume that someone has told you the direction. So I am telling you the direction that by a uniformly charged field, the direction of electric field lines are like this. So above the surface, it goes out of the surface, because for any positive charge it will repel it away from the surface, and for any point below the surface it repels that positive charge downwards. So the electric field lines due to a infinite sheet is perpendicular, and away from the sheet. So given that you know that you are given this direction by someone, you have to find the electric field at point A. So we can use the Gauss law, which says that now we will use Gauss law on this closed body. So the flux through the closed body, which is phi, which is E dot dA, should be equal to charge enclosed by this closed body by epsilon naught. Now how much charge is enclosed by this closed body? So there is some portion of the sheet which would come inside this closed body, and that portion of the sheet would be nothing but, let's say the length of the square that we created is let's say the length is L. So the area of the sheet that will come inside this closed rectangular surface is L square. It's difficult to imagine in this diagram, but you can imagine that, let's say this is the sheet and this is the closed body and this length is L. So basically this length is also L, and it will cover an area of L square on this sheet. So basically charge enclosed would be L square into sigma, because sigma is charge per unit area, and if L square is the area, then total charge of L square area is L square sigma by epsilon naught. Now we can decompose this E dot dA. So we can note that we have to calculate this E dot dA for all the 6 surfaces of this cuboid. It's not exactly cube, you can call it rectangular prism or whatever. So basically, so you can see that these 4 surfaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's difficult to visualize here, but only the top and bottom surfaces are the one through which the electric field lines are not parallel, but other 4 sides, all the 4 sides here, all these 4 sides, the electric field lines are parallel to these 4 sides. Therefore the area vector here would be perpendicular to the electric field lines, and hence the flux would be 0 through these 4 sides. Only the flux through top and bottom would matter. Okay, so we can say that we will calculate this flux through sides, and we will calculate this flux through top and bottom, and this will give us total flux, and it should be equal to L square sigma by epsilon naught. Now for the sides, the total flux is 0. For the top, the total flux is, so area vector is this, and magnitude of area vector is L square because the side is L, and electric field intensity is E. So basically, since A and E are in the same direction and cos of 0 is equal to 1, so AE cos 0 would be equal to L square E. So through the top, the flux is L square E. Similarly, through the bottom, area vector is downwards, electric field is also downwards. So through the bottom, AE cos 0 is AE, which is equal to L square E, and this should be equal to L square sigma by epsilon naught. So 2 L square E is equal to L square sigma by epsilon naught. So L square cancels, so E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So interesting thing to know here is that the electric field at any given height h is independent of the height. So if you take a point at height h or a point at height h1, electric field at both these points are same, which is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. By similar approach, we can find electric field due to a long straight line. So there is a long straight line, and there is like charge on this straight line, and charge per unit length is given by lambda. So for every 1 meter of this wire, there is lambda amount of charge on this wire. So this is charge per unit length. So unit would be coulomb per meter, and we have to find electric field at a distance r through this wire. So at any given distance r, what is the electric field at this point? So again, we will construct an imaginary closed surface to use Gauss law, and the closed surface we will construct in this case would be some cylinder like this. And as I said earlier that for the Gauss law to work, you must know the direction of the electric field lines. And direction of electric field lines from a wire is something like this, away from the wire and in the perpendicular direction, so like this. So towards the bottom, towards the right here, towards the left here, like, I don't know if you are able to visualize or not, but if you consider this like this and see it from here, it would look like sun rays going in every direction perpendicularly. So I hope you can visualize this. So this is the direction of the electric field lines. So basically you can see that electric field lines would be parallel to the surface. So if this is the electric field line, then the area vector to this side would be towards this. So this would be perpendicular and flux through these two surfaces. Similarly, area vector is here. Electric field lines would be electric field line would be like this or like this for the lower part. So basically electric field lines here would be parallel to the surface for these two surfaces. For this surface and this surface, electric field lines would be parallel to the surface, so flux through the surface would be 0. So net flux through the surface, integral E dot dA is equal to integral E dot dA through two sides. Let's say this is side A, this is side B, sides A and B, plus electric flux through curved surface. So this is the curved surface we are talking about, this. Basically this area. So we have to find the electric field through the curved surface, electric flux through the curved surface. So you can see that the curved surface, for the curved surface, the area vector is like, let's consider this line on the curved surface. This is just a line on this curved surface. So area vector is like this and electric field is also like this. So if this is a small area dA, then dA E cos 0 is simply dAE, and we have to integrate it over complete area because every point will have the similar situation. So E would be same at every point. At distance r, E would be same at every point. So we can take E outside. E is a constant. So it would be, so this would be 0 and this would be simply E outside integral of dA. Now this curved surface, so you can visualize that the area of cylinder is nothing but, so you can visualize it like a rectangle. So this side is 2 pi r. No, so don't confuse this r with r. So let's say this radius is capital R. No, so this area is this side is simply 2 pi r because this radius of cylinder is capital R by construction. And this length, we haven't decided what length of cylinder which we have taken, and I think that's because it will not matter in the end, but let's define some length. Let's say L. So this length is L. So area of this is 2 pi RL. So this becomes E into 2 pi RL. And left hand should be Q enclosed by epsilon naught by Gauss law. Q enclosed is, so this is the L length wire which is enclosed in this cylinder. So the charge per meter is lambda. For L length, the total charge is lambda into L. So lambda into L by epsilon naught. So L cancels out and E comes to be lambda upon 2 pi R epsilon naught. So here the electric field intensity depends on the distance from the wire, which is R, unlike in the sheet where electric field is independent of the distance from the sheet. So this was a quick introduction to electric flux and Gauss law, and I hope you like this video. If you like this video, stay tuned. Bye bye.